saga of Gwendolyn Pool continues in Unbelievable Gwenpool number 21. And so this is a part of Legacy. I really, really liked issue 20. I really liked it. I did a very effusive review about it when it came out last month. Like I said at the time, I didn't know how much of it was just me and how much of it was me reading it what I wanted to into it, but it very much seemed like it was a take on modern Marvel and not in the usual sort of way that most Marvel writers do it. It seemed like it was, let's just say, more nuanced. This one's not as good, and the praise isn't going to be as effusive. It's still pretty good, but it's interesting because I'm not entirely certain where they're going with it. So, basically, in the last issue, Gwenpool realized that she had powers, and that those powers could very easily be used for evil. And her evil future self came back to her time, her current time, and tried to get her to become evil so that, well, her future self would exist. And she rejected all that and ended up deleting her future self, but wasn't sure what she was going to do with herself after that. So, okay. So it says Guri Hiru as the artist. Guri Hiru is a Japanese female duo that has been doing art on Gwenpool pretty consistently since the series started. They haven't done every issue, but I think they've done like all but a handful of them. One thing about Guri Hiru is that they seem to be the only ones that can draw Gwenpool well, because frankly, when a lot of other artists draw her, she looks downright ugly. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, her costume and her look isn't like overly crazy, but at the very least, like, this is when she looks her cutest. I'm still not sure how old she is. I thought she was like 18 or 19. She may actually be younger than that, though. Whatever. So whenever other artists and other books draw her, she tends not to look nearly as cute as this. Here it says Guri Hiru. This does not look like Guri Hiru's art. I mean, you can see the difference just from this page to that page. And on the cover, it says Strikalski, which I'm pretty sure that's a Polish name. So, I don't know if that's like an editing error, or if they did do the art but not all of it, or if they just had like an off month or something. I don't know. In any case, the art in this one is not nearly as good as it has been in the past couple of issues. It's okay, but it's not, I mean, it's not at the high level that the previous issues had been. Marvel has been doing, in an effort to attract a different audience, they've been going for this sort of, like, faux manga style, and really the only ones I've seen it pull off well are the actual Japanese artists. Everybody else just tends to draw, like, just really overly cartoony or very overly feminized, which is weird because actual manga art, I mean, there's like girly manga, and then there's like most of manga, and most of, like, it can get really hardcore and really intense, but the faux manga style that Marvel uses is very like feminized, almost emasculated manga, and this is kind of what you're seeing here. Like, when it's done like this, it's like, well, okay, she's supposed to be kind of like girly, but it doesn't translate as well when it's like that. So, yeah, it opens with there being a bunch of snakes in a subway station. The local police decide to call not animal control, because there's like hundreds of snakes, but a superhero, and the only one they can get on short notice is Gwenpool. I haven't read too many issues of Gwenpool before issue, I think it was 18, but I did happen to read the one where she met this chick, which is the only officer whose name she bothered to learn, because that meant that she could, that meant that officer would survive the situation they found themselves in, and that she would be able to find her at some other point. So Gwenpool goes down there. It turns out the snakes are being controlled by this guy. I don't know who that is. He calls himself the Master. I don't know if that's his real name or not. I don't know. Gwenpool starts shooting with her Uzis, and it turns out that he has literally all the snakes, including giant pythons. These things are so stupid. Why did they... Why? Why did... I'm gonna try to rip this. I'm gonna try to rip this in one shot. See if it goes well. All right, Marvel. How badly do you want me to collect this thing? Oh, okay. It actually worked. So anyway, yeah. They hear a freak out. They're like, "Oh gosh, we have to go in there. You know, we have to go all this. We can't wait for a real superhero. We just have to go in and do it." And they get in, and there's no more snakes. There's no more anybody. There's no that dude, whatever his name was, he's gone. There's just Gwenpool, and the named officer actually arrests her, and the police ask a number of very reasonable questions, like, I'm sorry, it just this is dumb. Ah, shit, there it is. Why do they want me to have this? It's so stupid. Why? This is taking forever. Oh my, and it doesn't even tear right. Ah. I guess this is number 40 of 52. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Anyway, back to this for realsies. So they arrest her. The female officer tries to book her, and then the male officer is like, "Duh, she's a superhero." And so she ends up going 3. So Gwenpool is kind of flippant about the whole thing, and kind of even makes fun of her, talking about how this isn't like real life, so the police don't work that way, and it actually has an effect on her. Like when Deadpool breaks the fourth wall in his comic, people just don't notice it. They just assume, oh, he's Deadpool, he's just talking crazy, or they don't really hear anything. But I guess in Gwenpool, they do hear it. So, or in this issue, Gwenpool, she's got a bit of an ego to her. She's kind of got a bit of sass. She's got, and it's not endearing. It's not. She actually comes off as kind of arrogant and egotistical. In the past couple of issues, she's found out that being a 3-dimensional character in a 2-dimensional world means that she has, godlike powers. And in the last issue, she defeated her evil self. So in this issue, she decides that she's going to be a member of the Avengers just for the heck of it. And then we get this kind of funny thing here where she's talking about how awesome of a comic nerd she is, and yet she doesn't know some like basic things about the modern day Avengers. Like, she really doesn't know what's been going on since she joined the Marvel Universe 20 years ago, or 20 issues ago, 21 issues ago. So like, she doesn't even know where the Avengers are. She doesn't know that they don't pay. She doesn't. So she's kind of full of herself, even though she doesn't really deserve to be. So then we cut to South Brooklyn, and Pastepot Pete. I don't know much about Pastepot Pete. I know he's just one of those really, really goofy villains that Marvel has that almost never get used. Here they actually kind of play up. He uses the fact that everybody underestimates him to his advantage, and he ends up getting away with this armored truck just because the officers are like trying to get a selfie with him because they just don't think he's any kind of a threat, and then bam. So then this guy who's a reformed Doombot tries to stop him, doesn't go very well. She apparently has this brilliant idea that she's going to get into the Avengers by defeating Dr. Doom, and since this guy's a Doombot, maybe he could help find Doom. And she's telling all this while Pastepot Pete is trying to commit a crime. So this is the part where it gets like kind of concerning and even dark, which you don't really expect in a book where the character's wearing a pink costume. But we didn't see how she defeated the snake guy. She just did, somehow. And we know that she doesn't have, like, superhuman strength or speed or anything, but she knows that she's in a comic book. So how does she defeat Pastepot Pete? She brings him outside of the 2-dimensional world of the comic book, where it's just, the void, the space between the pages. And she just drops him. And he's like begging, but there's more. What are these? There's more of them. And there's just, there's nothing he could do. He can't, his mind is not able to comprehend this, so there's nothing he can do. And you can see that the kind of like really serious look that Gwenpool has on her face. So one thing that's kind of consistent with SJW characters is that they, there's no stakes. Their actions don't really matter. It's all about ego, and villains get defeated really easily. Like, there's more criteria than that, but that's one thing that tends to keep coming up over and over again. So you see almost all of that here. You see that Gwenpool is starting to get kind of full of herself because she's realized that, she has godlike powers. You see that she has the ego element where she just wants to join the Avengers, when it used to be that was something you really earned more so than was something you worked up to. It was like you were just a hero on your own for a long time, and then the Avengers would either have open auditions or they would call you. But typically this whole I'm gonna be an Avenger thing didn't work out until very recently. And then she defeats a very low level villain very easily, but it's in this kind of like cruel way. So the question is this Gwenpool becoming SJW, having all the hallmarks of a SJW comic, after I praised it for being anti-SJW, or is there more to it than that? I'm pretty sure that the way all this is done is that this is Gwenpool going down the path of darkness that she saw was going to happen in Gwenpool number 20. I don't know that for sure, but just the way that all this stuff is portrayed, like you see this like scowling look she's got on her face as she's doing this. You see the guy, where is it? You see the guy sort of making fun of her for not knowing as much as she should. You see her making fun of the police officer who's just trying to do her job. I'm pretty sure that these are supposed to be kind of off-putting things, that she's going into a direction that is really not good for her. Hopefully I'm right. But this is like a pretty messed up thing to do, and she did it apparently to the Snake guy as well. And Paste Pot Pete, he's not a great villain, but it's but he's been around a long time. I don't know exactly how long, but he's one of those venerable characters. And she just eliminates him from the continuity entirely. And then we see the last page where she explains that she wants to go after Doom. But Doom is an infamous Iron Man now. He's not evil. Although he still talks like Doom. Which I don't think he does in Infamous Iron Man. So, yeah, this is kind of a new direction for the character. I don't know how it's going to work out exactly, but I think what's going to start to happen is Gwen doing the whole, with great power comes great whatever. You all know the line. So this is still, it's interesting to see this. And Christopher Hastings is one of the few comic pro writers on Twitter, especially on the Marvel side, that doesn't use Twitter as a platform to talk about like weird politics and stuff. He doesn't post very often, which is a good thing, but he doesn't what he does post is pretty actually kind of like funny and insightful. So tell me what you thought. Tell me if you read this. Tell me if you're sticking with it. Tell me if I'm wrong and this is just the normal thing that Marvel seems to do with its female characters that are aimed at a younger audience. In any case, this is Unranked Chevron signing off.